Hello, I'm Ghostefana, and in this video I'm going to be ranking Baldur's Gate 3's companions. I will also be recapping the events of the story like I do with most games very soon, so keep an eye on my channel for that and hit subscribe. Now, please note, this isn't a romance ranking, this is just ranking all the recruitable companions on a combination of combat strength, side quests, and likability. And this, of course, is only my opinion, so feel free to disagree in the comments. I'm sure you will. Just, be nice about it. If you enjoyed this video, please do hit subscribe.
You should never have come here, true soul.
At number 10, it is Jahira, a character who, I'll be honest, I had very high hopes for. When we first meet her at the Last Light Inn, she seemed cool and edgy, and that combined with everyone talking about how much of a legendary character she is, made me excited to play with her. Ultimately, however, Jahira is just very bland. She doesn't have much interesting dialogue in the game. Her side quest is one of the most bland ones in the game too, which leads you to meeting her family and children who are just equally fucking boring. And on a combat point of view, she's not the strongest, and that's why you would likely leave her back at camp with Withers.
I have lived a very long time. I have taken many lovers.
At 9, it's Halsin, so even if you haven't played the game, you likely know of one scene which is quite significant to Halsin. He can turn into a bear and, yep, have sex with you. Us as the gamer can turn down or accept his unusual offer. Naturally, gamers are freaks, so we all say yes. And so ends Halsin's contribution to the game. He's a nice guy and slightly overly horny, constantly making suggestive comments to my beloved Shadowheart, which eventually led to the three of us becoming a polyamorous throuple. Don't ask.
But you are no turnip.
At 8, it's Minsk. Now I feel a bit sorry for our simple Russian friend. I think he's Russian, I don't even know. Minsk is one of the last recruitable companions arriving in Act 3, and depending on how you approach quests, you may not meet him until the second half of that act. If we had more time traveling with him, he may score higher on this list. He's got the base attributes to be a fun companion. He's funny and has some interesting dialogue, and he also comes with his own pet in the form of a space hamster. Again, don't ask. Combat-wise, he's okay and can be useful, but again, because he's introduced so late into the game, you've already built your party around certain characters and skills, and adding the big bold brute into the mix can kind of upset your carefully crafted balance.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see you standing there.
Number 7 sees the introduction of Will. Now, in Act 1, I hated Will. He arrives swinging his sword around and acting like he just walked out of a children's fairy tale. And although Will remains an extremely bland character when it comes to personality, he does have some saving factors. He is pretty useful in combat, certainly in the latter acts. In Act 1, he's about as useful as a gingerbread man from said children fairy tales, but when you add some counter curses and curse spells to his arsenal, he's actually pretty handy. But it's his personal quest which is the most interesting. The story has two factors that intertwine. Through Will, we meet his father, who, to be honest, is a bit of a dick. But we also meet Missoura, who is a supremely captivating character who you can indeed have a night of devilish debauchery with. And let's be fair, if you can shag a bear, you can also kind of shag a she-devil.
Silence now, creature, or I will silence you forever.
Minara is a very unique companion in the fact that a lot of gamers don't actually experience her, or certainly not in their first playthrough. To have her in your party, you have to do some very morally questionable things, which will lose you other companions from this list and lock you out of certain quests. You can cheat the system somewhat, something to do with polymorphing her into a sheep, but that's just silly and unrealistic, said the man who's just had sex with a bear. So is Minara worth all that sacrifice? Probably not, but it's only a probably, which is testament to how strong a character she is. She's ruthless, cold, and somewhat evil, and makes the perfect partner for someone attempting an evil playthrough. But that said, like most characters, she does have a deep background, which showcases a more tender and complex side, which once unlocked is very rewarding.
Abomination, this is your end.
Lae'zel is at 5. You've probably heard negative things about our Githyanki warrior, and that's not without reason. She is difficult to like, but I think that's intentional. She's a naturally hostile character, such is the way of her people, but her backstory is one of the most complex, and the way her story, and by extension her character, developed over the course of the game is really interesting, and there's times where you can really feel quite sorry for her. She's as fierce in dialogue as she is in combat, and if you develop her combat skills right, by Act 3, she is virtually unstoppable.
Stick in the damn thing.
At 4, it's Gail. If you haven't yet played the game, you've likely seen clips of the famous Wizard of Waterdeep. He has some of the best and most memorable lines in the game, and is a character who remains in my party throughout the entirety of the game, just because of how funny his reactions are. His story is incredibly complex and can even see us force him to commit a pretty spectacular suicide, should we wish, something I did do once before quickly reloading my last save. Combat-wise, like most wizards or sorcerers, he's pretty useless early game. He finds himself downed pretty easily due to his lack of armor, and his spells are pretty weak. If your character is also a wizard or sorcerer, I'd recommend leaving Gale at camp while he levels up. However, once past level 6, Gale becomes a machine in the art of area of effect spells, and can cause mass damage, which is very useful as the amount of enemies in fight steadily increases as the game progresses.
My name's Astarion.
Taking the bronze medal, it is Astarion. The internet has fell into a crazy obsession with our blood-hungry silver fox, and rightly so. He's an excellent character. His extremely dry wit provides some of the most memorable moments in the game, and he's one of few characters which can suit both an evil and a good playthrough. You just have to be a little bit mischievous every now and again to keep him happy. Oh, and let him drink your blood, obviously. He's pretty adept in the combat field, but you do have to build him and utilize him in the right way. However, his best use is more as an exploration companion, just for his passing comments and his pretty impressive lockpicking skills. His story is frankly harrowing and becomes deeper by every cutscene and culminates in a heart-wrenching final scene. Tread carefully with Astarion. It's very easy to lose him from your party altogether if you make the wrong dialogue choices.
Better let these fuckers know I'm back.
At number 2, it's Karlach. Our fiery barbarian is almost perfect. I just wish she was more up for a bit of evilness, as she is one of the characters we must sacrifice to have Minara on our team. A fearsome warrior who, like Lae'zel, if built correctly, can be a monster and have many action points per turn, which, believe me, you will need later in the game. Her story is also really complex and emotional. There's a deep backstory to her, and her ending can be emotional on so many levels, either happy or sad. All you know for sure is you'll be crying during the end credits.
She's gone. I don't understand.
At number 1, of course, it is my beloved Shadowheart, affectionately known as Shart to her loyal fans. Shadowheart is a popular romance option and perhaps the most naturally eye-catching character early in the game, but that's not what this list is about. But the many reasons as to why she becomes many gamers' love interest also relates to why she's such a good companion. She's not an obvious character to have in your party when it comes to combat, and early on you're not going to truly understand what the point of Shadowheart is, but she gets better. If you build her right, she'll become an essential part of your team, utilizing her healing abilities to keep you and your other pals in the fight, but have no doubt she will still have the aim like a stormtrooper that never changes. But it's her story that is so wonderfully captivating. She's integral to the main questline through the fact that she carries the very mysterious item on her, which, avoiding spoilers, plays quite a big role in the story. But she also has a deep and emotionally harrowing backstory which can be explored in several ways. And the best part is that you have so much influence on how Shadowheart develops. Again, avoiding spoilers best I can, but you can literally coerce her to follow one god or another, depending on your preference and where you sit on the evil and good scale. The choice massively changes how Shart is come the end of the game. And of course, Shadowheart has some of the very best dialogue in the game. She's a must-have in your party just for her dry, sassy comments as you explore the world. Plus, her disdain for Lae'zel is genuinely hilarious. For more videos just like this, then please do hit subscribe. Thank you for watching.